Hey everyone, Kane here, and in this video we're gonna check up one of the dual tower fights once more, this time against a 17 mil core player. So I've tried to go for a 4300, then when I still had, I think, a Ruby Dragon, I do believe. Yeah, I still had a Ruby Dragon. I went from like 4,250 literally all the way down to somewhere like 4,120 or 170 or something like that. And then I literally barely even managed to make it to 4,200 once. Then I swapped to an Onyx, and I think I had a couple of fights then the fights became a little bit easier. So there is a slight difference which I would want to explain about the Onyx prior to the replay. So the Onyx has a couple of abilities that are pretty different than that of a Ruby Dragon. So the corrosive scales instantly like proc this damage taken of nearby enemies by 20%. So if we can talk about the Ruby Dragon, he doesn't have this, but he has a damage based scales which can proc like, let's say, burning resistance, removal or reduction, as well as proccing swell, which reduces magic resistance as well. So a red dragon is something like a stacking ability plus slight damage, while the onyx dragon just instantly grants the aura whenever the dragon is close to the units. That being said, anything hitting the stuff and dragon being near it will increase in the enemy's damage taken. So I do believe this is a little bit better than, let's say, a fire dragon in a sense, at least in my own opinion, because it doesn't require scaling. So if you're just walking forward or beating the enemy, usually a Ruby Dragon doesn't really have time to proc quite a few passives and remove them. So in more cases than not, the corrosive scales tends to be better since it's also magic and also physical. At least I do think it is that. The other thing is the Eternal Void and also the Graviton Surge, and you're gonna see both of these in action in the video. So basically, whenever you start the battle, the dragon summons 3 black holes at random locations for 7 seconds. And the Eternal Void is when on the battlefield, when friendly non-hero, non-summoned melee units fall in the battle, they have a % chance to summon a black hole, and the chances are greater for higher ones. And then the proc chance, I'm not entirely sure how long this lasts, but it's at least a few seconds, and this is kind of gonna help you out for buying time for your mages or your archers or your stuff to do damage. And in a lich formation, I do think this is kind of important. And after that, it's pretty much everything that I had before. So my formation didn't really change much. I'm still using this, what I have now. Likely I will try to remake a formation and, remove the Verm, since usually it doesn't really do that much, as well as perhaps remove another skeleton squad and add a lich mage or a spider in terms of this one. I'm still thinking about stuff, but we'll see. In terms of formation, currently it's okay. There's no free squares. Everything is used. Everything is buffed. So for now, I'm gonna use that, but I'm gonna be looking forward into trying something else. And this is what the enemy had in terms of formation. So he has 5 skeletons. He has a summoner. He has a lot of buffs in terms of the stall side, and he has most of the DPS in terms of the burst side. Though, of course, Flora's, I do think she should be somewhere in like the Basilisk location for Nectar of Life or stuff like that. Unless, of course, she has something that she wants to keep alive or buff here. In terms of formations, I think Avril's position is not really that good, in my own opinion, because depending on formations that you face, or if you face something like a Sylph, if you don't have Avril somewhere around this corner, you're not gonna scratch the hero. So perhaps like the movement of this one hero could actually be a little bit better. Other than that, I'm not really sure. It looks okay-ish. I'm not sure if it's like incredibly powerful or not, but the heroes do seem somewhat okay and also protective of the dragon. So let's check the stats. So my Tisafin performed incredibly well, my Avril incredibly well, and you're gonna see that. And Arian started doing incredible damage by the end of the fight, which I will also touch on. My Valerie, for some reason, got bugged again. I'm not entirely sure what the hell this is. Not entirely sure whether or not her damage is being added to these or stuff like that. Uh, This is a question mark for me. I mean, honestly, I have no clue. Or, like, the hero in general is just completely bugged right now. So, in terms of stats, I have 3.6 million skeleton HP. These are my stats. My resistances could be a bit higher, but my magic resistance will raise, I think, in 1 or 2 months whenever I finish tier 16 of the front line. Then his front line is 5.6 million HP and has something similar with, I guess, less healing received and less enemy crit rate reduction, if I remember correct, than Mummies, but we're not gonna check that. I did check quite a few of his heroes. Some of his heroes have decent stuff. Some of his heroes have some sort of questionable stuff. Like Flores was okay. Let's say Valerie is somewhat okay. Avril, somewhat okay. Nora, somewhat okay, but I guess the weapon could be also questionable in a sense. But some like buffers or let's say Balrog or stuff like that, kind of questionable in my own case, because if you had the two-piece Drake set, which he like had on, let's say, Solaris, this would actually have a lot more tankiness on his stall side if he had like debuffs, which I have on my own Balrog. One moment. Like, if he had something like this, it would add incredible tankiness to your Balrog. It would even survive longer, and I have 43 million HP on my Balrog, and he has 75 as level 70. He has max level. So in terms of damage done, this is what it was. In terms of damage taken, his skeletons tanked a little bit more, since, of course, higher HP. In terms of healing done, as you can see, my Balrog healed more than his because I think his died very, very early. And it also comes down to the Onyx dragon, which I will also touch. So his dragon did heal quite a lot since the dragon survived for the entire battle. So let's jump into the fight. So we started against both of our stall sides. So do keep in mind that his stall side has, I guess, a lot more tanky skeletons than mine. But do keep in mind what you're gonna see here is gonna be pretty friggin' dope. So whenever I went into the battle, and I have to like pause this to show you the balls here because it's gonna go pretty fast. Like, the balls pulled all of the skeletons into one place, and I cast Valerie, as you can see, and then Avril. And these skeletons are gonna start to be chunked by a lot of HP. And as you can see, Balrog already procced his invincibility once, and those skeletons are still being pulled and CC'd and stunned. And then I used a Rufio jump to then further stun them so they don't move, let's say, to the left on my dragon or go towards my mages, and instead some of them started focusing Rufio. As you can see, they're running to Rufio, and then I think I cast Blizzard again, and look at how much damage they're being chunked. While my stall side, I think I lost Gan. Gazel is still alive, so my stall side is still lasting, while his stall side is slowly dropping. Yeah, so my stall side is still alive, his stall side is slowly dropping. And pretty much I won the burst race in terms of just some luck by the Onyx as well as the ability cast. However, he's not too far behind in terms of the damage, and currently it's somewhere like an almost an even race, but I think I was winning on it. However, something did happen, or I was not doing enough damage, and he actually picked up on it. So as you can see, he started clearing my stuff rather quite quickly, and I was just barely managing to bypass some of his skeletons. So he's slowly clearing that. My skeletons were already running to his backline. However, since they're tier 18, they weren't really able to do that much damage. Then the dragon stunned them, and then his Nora, his Ophidia, his heroes were still DPSing the skeletons, and pretty much they were able to survive, as well as he had invincibilities from, say, Valerie and stuff like that. And skeletons went ahead and tanked some of the damage, and his heroes basically became unreachable. So I had no frontline, my dragon died, and he still had a full squad of skeletons plus his dragon. Now, the thing about this is Arian up until now didn't really do that much damage. So my heroes are gonna die in here, but this is Arian. So do keep in mind about the dragon. Look at the damage the dragon is taking. Look at the damage the, let's say, stalkers are taking. The dragon died with like 20% damage procs, and likely that the Arian wasn't even focusing the dragon. It's just basically the spread from his ability, which majority of the time, like, it doesn't really proc for I don't know what reason, but when it procs, it friggin' does so much damage. It's crazy. Like this one does 13,000 magical damage. Then you have Tainted Blood, which every 0.5 seconds spreads it to close enemies, and whenever it reaches like half of a squad or a full squad, those like bursts are friggin' 20 to 30% almost every split second or whatever. It becomes crazy. So yeah, that is what happened. It was a pretty close, I suppose, battle. Very, very close. If I had like, I guess, tier 19 skeletons, this would have been doable. Likely with at least a little bit or like a couple of army units or heroes still remaining. Honestly, kind of like the Onyx Dragon, I tried it in quite a few battles. It actually performed quite a lot better than a Ruby Dragon. I think what's happening is that the Void Eater users kind of nullify the Ruby Dragon's power versus Stallside or etc. And then you have quite a few people already upgrading Covenant pretty high. And then again, Ruby Dragon just falls off because he doesn't provide anything more than just damage to just clear the stall side. And people don't really require a Ruby Dragon or most of the time anymore to clear that, let's say, stall side. Basically, you just require, say, an Onyx Dragon with a damage debuff add-on. And then if they're killing your stall side, this Onyx Dragon can just literally proc let's say a black hole on your stall side. He's gonna slightly pull the skeletons into one place, and of course you have mages like Avril, you have mages like Valerie, Discipline, even I suppose mechanists like Nora deal area damage as well. So you have stuff that could potentially do incredible amounts of damage. But anyways, a pretty close fight in comparison to the hero levels, to premium artifacts, stuff like that. I was at a pretty huge disadvantage, but I guess this was a pretty good fight. Now, do keep in mind that I had won against, I suppose, stronger opponents with an Onyx Dragon. I have also lost against people who had humans. Now, the thing about humans is I cannot really pass them with a Ruby Dragon. I tried so many friggin' times, and for some reason, majority of the friggin' humans, like the friggin' swordmen, are just incredibly tanky. They revive so much, they tank so much, and stuff like that. I can kill a lot of stuff, I can kill a lot of heroes, a lot of swordmen. By the end of the fight, they just revive all of them. So yeah, humans are kind of my bane. I do happen again to win against some cores higher. I happen to lose against some cores lower, like that human 500,000 less, but essentially people around this core reach this ranking by just having proper formation. So it's expected to be able to win against higher ones, but as well, people do make more proper formations, more meta formations. Uh, should expect to even lose against, like, at the very minimum 1 or 2 million core less as well. And yeah, I even myself, I can lose like probably 1 to 1.5 million core less or so. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something new. And if you did, do hit that subscribe button. It would help me out a lot. Thanks for watching. Take care and stay safe out there.